Hello, you're watching Monday edition of News Mongolia. Today is August 8. For our top stories, the Chinese Foreign Minister Wang is visiting Mongolia. 10th Mongolian Hunnu aristocrat tomb discovered in Zavkhan province. World of Chinggis and Mongolian Studies in the National Research Conference commences. For other news, stay tuned. Wang, member of the State Council of the People's Republic of China and Minister of Foreign Affairs, arrived in Ulaanbaatar on August 7, 2022 for an official visit to Mongolia. During his visit, Minister Wang held talks with Mongolia's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Batsitsik, and met with the Mongolian President Hurusuk, Speaker of Parliament Zandashatar, and Prime Minister Oyuirtan.
On Monday, August 8, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Batsitsik, held official talks with China's State Council member and Minister of Foreign Affairs Wang. The Ministers of Foreign Affairs noted the successful expansion and the development of the Mongolia-China Comprehensive Strategic Partnership and agreed to strengthen the mutual understanding and political mutual trust of the parties and deepen the development of relations and cooperation in all fields. The Mongolian Minister of Foreign Affairs noted that the development of extensive cooperation with China as a good neighbor is the first goal of Mongolia's foreign relations policy, and at this time of an unstable relations situation and the pandemic is still persisting, the two countries will further strengthen and expand relations and cooperation.
The cooperation between Mongolia and China is at the level of comprehensive strategic partnership, and opinions were exchanged on a wide range of issues to be further stimulated by the efforts of both sides. I'm happy that our two countries are overcoming the difficulties of the pandemic together and expanding and developing friendly and mutually beneficial cooperation in all fields. During the meeting with Minister Wang, we assessed the current state of relations and cooperation between the two countries, discussed future trends, maintaining the frequency of high-level visits, intensifying the implementation of major economic development projects, and expanding the operation of Mongolia-China border ports. Also, they signed an action plan for joint implementation during 2023 to 2024 between the Ministries of Foreign Affairs of the two countries.
Greetings to all of you. I'm happy to be visiting Mongolia after 2 years. There have been positive changes in Ulaanbaatar city. I felt a lot of energy coming to Mongolia, and I'm very happy with the progress being made in Mongolia. I agree with the Foreign Minister Mrs. Batsitsik's assessment of the relations between our countries. China and Mongolia are connected by destiny. That is why Mongolia is a good neighbor to overcome difficulties with together a good friend. In the context of intensifying the cooperation with the border ports, the construction work of the Qashun-Sokhat-Gantsmot railway port will be intensified, the daily number of trains from China's seaports to Mongolia will be regulated, the number of train exchanges at the Zamkhan Port Railway, and the capacity of border ports will be increased. The two ministers also discussed the issue of revamping the ports that will meet global standards. The Chinese side has taken into consideration the request of the Mongolian side regarding a railway connection to Hangi-Mandal port and expressed that it will discuss the issue with the relevant domestic organizations. Both parties agreed to intensify the construction of the Itumburun hydropower plant project. Minister of Foreign Affairs Batsitsik emphasized that Mongolia attaches great importance to the development of tripartite cooperation between Mongolia, China and Russian Federation and exchanged views on advancing the implementation of the Economic Corridor Program. As part of the cooperation in the humanitarian sector, it was agreed that students currently studying in China would continue to study in classrooms, and they talked about simplifying the mutual movement of citizens. During the telephone conversation, the head of state agreed to expand cooperation in the field of combating desertification, dust storms, and environmental protection, and to jointly implement projects as part of the Billion Trees national campaign. In addition, they exchanged their opinions on issues of mutual interest in international relations and expressed their respective positions.
A 10th Mongolian Hunnu aristocrat burial site was discovered in Zavkhan province. The site's excavation has revealed important artifacts, including part of a wheeled carriage. The tomb was found in Yamaos in Altarhansum in Zavkhan province. Many interesting artifacts were found during the excavation, including a coffin with golden ornamentation. Here is an aristocrat's wooden coffin with golden ornamentation, which was found at a depth of around 8 meters. The tombs of Hunnu aristocrats are typically dug in the shape of an inverted triangle. A carriage and its parts were placed at the top of this tomb.
We excavated a mid-sized Hunnu aristocrat tomb for about 50 days. Research was conducted successfully. Even though the tomb was already disturbed, we still found some interesting artifacts.
Some notable artifacts were found at the excavation site, including bronze pots, ceramic vases, and jewelry. The ornamentation in the tomb was similar to findings in other Hunnu aristocrat tombs. The findings will undergo further restoration. In the future, the burial site will become a tourist attraction with a local museum. Tech are wild horses that are native to Mongolia, but they became extinct in the wild in 1960. In 1992, 15 tech were brought to Mongolia from the Netherlands and reintroduced to the wild. Through the diligent efforts of international and local organizations, Mongolia now has nearly 1,000 wild tech. The history of tech reintroduction in Mongolia is strongly linked to Jan and Inge Baumann, who established the foundation for the preservation and protection of the Przewalski horse in 1977 in Rotterdam, the Netherlands. Tech are known internationally as the Przewalski's horse. The Baumanns first saw a Przewalski's horse at the Prague Zoo in 1972, which was in miserable condition. After that, they started researching ways to return them to Mongolia. 20 years later, their wish came true, and tech were transported to Mongolia by plane and released into the wild.
And the idea was, we will breed them, give them a nice environment, that they look for their own food, that they get less acquainted with people, and the offspring of these breeding groups, they have to be reintroduced. And then came the situation that Sokolov and the Russian Mongolian teams looked for suitable areas, and we said, we have them, the tach, so we bring them for you.
The first tech to be reintroduced had lost their natural instincts and struggled to adapt to life in the wild. Some died during harsh weather and some were eaten by predators. But since then, all of the reintroduced tech have been monitored by rangers who have figured out ways to help them survive. Today, there are 994 tech in 3 locations in Mongolia, and 154 foals are being raised this year. Conservation officials plan to reintroduce tech in a 4th location. On Thursday, August 4th, Foreign Affairs Minister Bakhtitsik met with young Mongolis participating in the annual Mongolian Studies Summer School. The Institute for Mongolian Studies at the National University of Mongolia hosts the Mongolian Studies Summer School every year. This year, the summer school is taking place from August 3rd to the 18th. 30 participants are enrolled from 17 universities and research centers in 10 countries, including Russia, China, Turkey, Japan, the US, Germany, and Mozambique. The summer school includes programs on the Mongolian language, visiting historical sites and museums, and traveling in the countryside for an introduction to nomadic culture. Foreign Affairs Minister Bakhtitsik emphasized the importance of enhancing Mongolian studies. The Institute for Mongolian Studies hosts the summer school to prepare future Mongolis and give the participants a hands-on experience and introduction to Mongolian culture. The World of Chinggis and Mongolian Studies, an international research conference, started on August 6th. 66 researchers will be presenting lectures at the conference. This year marks the 860th birth anniversary of the great Chinggis Khan. To mark the occasion, this large-scale international conference is taking place at the Government Palace through August 10th, under the auspices of the President of Mongolia. The conference is grouped into 5 sections: Mongolian history and ethnography, Mongolian language and literature, the Mongolian cultural world, Mongolia and the outside world, and Mongolian cultural heritage and archaeology. For the conference, 54 researchers from 14 different countries came to Ulaanbaatar to present their lectures, and 12 researchers will be participating online. A total of 155 lectures will be presented. The study of Chinggis Khan is considered a major Mongolian studies research area. The Mongolian government has established the Chinggis Khan Heritage and Cultural Institute to advance studies in this area. During the conference, President Hurusuk presented the idea of establishing an international association of Chinggis Khan studies and conducting an international conference every 3 years to strengthen research cooperation. On the opening day of the conference, several Mongolis received state honors. Now let's take a look at the currency exchange rates provided by Mongol Bank. Thank you for staying with us on MNB World. Now let's take a look at Mongolia's current affairs. A U.S. Army Civil Affairs team from the U.S. Embassy in Mongolia conducted a medical and veterinary outreach program in Botlan Province on July 24 through 28. The team cooperated on the program with the Step and Hoof NGO and the Asia Foundation. A U.S. Army medic-led livestock first aid classes for herders that included bleeding control and splinting. A Mongolian Institute for Veterinary Medicine veterinarian also conducted classes on good veterinary practices for maintaining livestock health and identifying and treating common livestock diseases. Some veterinary and medical supplies were also donated to herders. U.S. Army Civil Affairs teams are an important part of the United States' efforts to build shared capacity with partner nations around the world. The program in Botlan was designed to strengthen herders' livelihoods and support a reliable food supply for the Mongolian people. On Friday, the Minister of Culture announced that Nowruz, the New Year celebration of the Kazakh people in Mongolia, would be nominated for the UNESCO representative list of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity. Nowruz means New Day. It's a 3-day holiday that starts on March 21st, the day of the spring equinox. Around the world, it's been celebrated by more than 300 million people. It has been observed for over 3,000 years in the Balkans, the Black Sea Basin, the Caucasus, Central Asia, the Middle East, and other regions. In 2009, Nowruz was inscribed on the representative list of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity at the joint initiative of Afghanistan, Azerbaijan, India, Iran, Iraq, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Pakistan, Tajikistan, Turkey, Turkmenistan, and Uzbekistan. In 2010, the United Nations General Assembly proclaimed the International Day of Nowruz. Mongolia's 120,000 Kazakh people make up 3.8% of the Mongolian population, with 77% living in Bayinliki province. Nowruz is considered a valuable cultural heritage of the Kazakh people in Mongolia for its celebration of the principles of peace, unity, and great friendship among families and communities. Explosions were seen in Gaza late on Sunday, along with rocket fire from the region, ahead of a ceasefire between Israel and Palestinian militants that was agreed upon in a bid to end nearly 3 days of violence that killed dozens of Palestinians. The Egyptian brokered ceasefire took effect at 11:30 p.m. Israeli strikes and militant rockets continued in the minutes leading up to the beginning of the truce, and Israel said it would respond strongly if the ceasefire was violated. The flare-up was the worst fighting between Israel and Gaza militant groups since Israel and Hamas fought an 11-day war last year and adds to the destruction and misery that have plagued blockaded Gaza for years. Israeli aircraft have plumbed targets in Gaza since Friday, while the Iran-backed Palestinian Jihad militant group has fired hundreds of rockets at Israel in response. The risk of the cross-border fighting turning into a full-fledged war remained as long as no truce was reached. Israel says some of the dead were killed by misfired rockets. Gaza's ruling Hamas group remained on the sidelines, possibly because it fears Israeli reprisals and undoing economic understandings with Israel, including Israeli work permits for thousands of Gaza residents that bolster its control. Israel launched its operation with a strike Friday on a leader of the Islamic Jihad and followed up on Saturday with another targeted strike on a second prominent leader. Now let's take a look at other current affairs from our partner agencies. U.S. President Joe Biden on Sunday left the White House for the first time since becoming infected with COVID-19 last month, ending his most recent isolation after testing positive. The president tested negative Saturday and Sunday, according to his doctor, clearing the way for him to emerge from an isolation that lasted longer than expected because of a rebound case of the virus. "I'm feeling great," Biden said before boarding Marine One outside the White House for the flight to Delaware, where he is headed for a reunion with First Lady Jill Biden. During his isolation in the White House residence, the First Lady remained in Delaware. China continued combat training and military exercises near Taiwan's airspace on Sunday. According to CCTV's anchor, the exercises focused on testing long-range air and ground strikes. Several bombers and fighters participated in the exercise with live fire. China said Sunday it carried out its fourth consecutive day of military drills in the air and sea around Taiwan in the wake of U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's visit to the self-ruled island, despite international calls to calm the tensions. The People's Liberation Army did not say if it will continue the drills after Sunday. Now let's take a look at our regular feature on sports. The 9th round of the 44th FIDE Chess Olympiad in Chennai, India was held on Sunday. After 9 games, Mongolia's women's team has 6 wins, 1 draw, 2 losses and is ranked 11th out of 162 teams with 13 points. 3 of the female chess players are being listed in the top 20 by their personal and team success. They are ranked in 11th place so far. On August 7th, Grandmasters Ichtol and Gundaba experienced their first defeat in the competition. However, Mukhzol Turmo is continuing the Olympiad without suffering a single loss. The men's team is at 62nd place out of 188 teams with 10 points, 4 wins, 2 draws and 3 losses after 9 sets of matches. On August 6th, Saturday, the closing ceremony of the National Cup 2022 and champion of 21 provinces was held in Obs province, and the national champion Darkhnot province has received their trophy. The nationwide soccer competition was organized under the auspices of the Mongolian president. On August 4th, there was a fierce match between Obs province and Darkhnot province. With a 2-1 victory, Darkhnot became the champions of the 21 provinces. Their next opponent was the team of Songdunhaekhan district of the capital city, which was the champion of Ulaanbaatar city. On August 6th, the team of Darkhnot province was victorious against the champion of Ulaanbaatar city by 2-1. The national cup was presented to the captain of the winning team. Here comes the weather forecast for the world's major cities. This is it for today. Thank you for staying with us. We'll see you tomorrow with more news updates. Have a nice evening. Goodbye.